Alright everybody, welcome to another video. Today's video, we're actually going to be working with a iPad. We're going to be doing a iPad 3rd gen. We're going to replace the screen, and then also we're going to replace the battery in the iPad as well. The customer was complaining that the battery died after like an hour of use. With the age of this iPad, that's not uncommon. Lithium batteries do tend to die over time. So let's get into the repair. Something I always tell people, I like to use packaging tape just so that it keeps the glass from shattering. I also like to use this right here is a painter's tool. Once I start heating up the device, I like to get in there and kind of, work my way around. But yeah, so let's get into the repair, guys. Here we go. I just like to kind of get the central point of where the shadow would be at. Doesn't have to be perfect, just enough to kind of prevent it from, going all over the place for the most part. All right, so now let's add our heat. As you can see, the heat actually shrinks the tape. So even though I left a couple pieces kind of long, it just shrinks in place. Alright, let's start making this thing open up for us. Tool just kind of slid in there without damaging the LCD. You don't want to go too deep and take the risk of damaging the LCD. You just want to get in there and cut through the adhesive that you already heated up. It takes a lot of heat on iPads, but Want to be careful around the home button, guys. You don't want to damage that unless you have a home button to replace it with. Keep in mind, this model does not have Touch ID, so you can replace the home button without it losing the capability of Touch ID, because this one does not have Touch ID. Keep that in mind. It's almost ready to come up. Stayed intact pretty well, considering it was already cracked. It wasn't the worst crack I've ever seen, but it was definitely cracked. Alright, so at this point we're successfully inside the iPad. I like to stay away from this area as much as possible. Only because it's a pain to kind of clean this area from fingerprints or anything of the sort. I'm looking at this iPad here, and I already noticed that this has been repaired before. I can just tell by the way the tape is. This is not standard OEM tape. That's probably why it was a little easier to get into, which is fine. This happens, you know, people damage their devices every day. That's what makes this industry so lucrative. And keep in mind, like right here, we're missing a screw right off the bat, and I haven't even pulled up my Phillips head screwdriver. So this has definitely been repaired before. So I'm just gonna do my best to put it back OEM as possible. Put it back as OEM as possible. So here we go. Definitely been repaired before. I can just tell by the way it comes up. And that piece is broken, so it wasn't even been held in place properly. Piece is actually broken, if you guys can see that. They just kind of screwed it in place. We're just going to do our best to get it back the way it should be as much as possible. So right now I'm holding the LCD. Let's grab some tweezers and trying to lift this black flap up, which secures this in place. It's been a little tough. Here we go. All right, so we've successfully removed the LCD. So now the touchscreen digitizer connections is located here. We're going to do the same thing. Let's get these black flaps up. They're really stubborn too. If someone dripped a little adhesive down there or not. Let's just try to get this loose. Slowly kind of. Just want to be careful because you don't want it to rip in there. Just want it to come out. There we are. Yeah, they put a little adhesive here to hold it down. Right there. So now, this is the old screen. Stayed intact pretty well. The tape does help, but at the same time, this has been repaired before. I figured out after I went inside of it. I'm just gonna put that to the side. Now I'm gonna take this down a little bit further to the battery. So let's get going again. The screws. More specific, I'm sure. This magnet is really strong on the sides. Tape right here is factory, so it's really tough. I'm just trying to pull it back enough to get in here, get that screw out. So I actually tore into this thing, and I just want to point out a couple things. This actual iPad is a carrier iPad, not the Wi-Fi only model. So there is a couple of differences. With the Wi-Fi only, it doesn't have a couple of these modules like this right here is a SIM card tray. And the reason that's important to note is for the reason that I had to take out these two screws. This one was already taken out, and I did have to unhinge these right here. And now, as you can see, when you move down here, this was disconnected. This was disconnected. The antenna was disconnected. Now you can pick up on the motherboard, and bam, there's the battery. Keep in mind, this motherboard is still connected to this piece right here. In a Wi-Fi only model, it's not like that. But I do want to point out that in a carrier-based model, it is like this. So what I'm going to do now, since we got this far, I'm going to put a little bit of heat to the back of this iPad just to break up this the tape that's on the back of the battery. So I'm not going to sit here and bore you guys with me heating this device up. So right now I'm going to fast forward through this. So the next time we meet back up, I'll be assembling the iPad back together. All the way tore down now. I'm just sticking in the battery. Keep in mind, battery does go under the motherboard. There is notches in the motherboard that it sits on. Plug and play from here. Now I'm just going to keep reassembling the device. I just wanted you guys to see that. That wasn't too bad. For something like this, total screen and battery, you can probably charge $125. And people will still pay that because they love their iPads. So I'll visit back with you guys here shortly. See you in a second. So now we're just testing it out. Just got the new battery in, new screen is on. But before I start pulling off plastic and adhesive strips, I want to test the screen out. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to test the screen out. It's still booting. It's taking a little while, but that's fine. Not a big deal. So now we're just in the testing phase. It's not completely sealed up. It's a waiting game. Alright, the screen just came up. I have gloves on. I actually have the customer's passcode. Alright, we're in the tablet. Touch is working fine. And I have gloves on, so that further lets me know touch is working fine. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing all buttoned up and I'll be back soon. Alright guys, so finally got this iPad repaired. Now let's see if the power's back on. Everything is working on it. Let's do that now. I like to leave the plastic on the iPad or the device that I repaired just so the customer know it was a brand new part. It wasn't one I salvaged off another device. I have heard of people doing that, and I don't think it's fair to the customer. So I try to show them as much as I can as far as that it's a new part, you know. So let's see what happens here. This is totally normal on these iPads, the boot up time. I think it does have a pending update that could very well speed that up, but this is totally normal. On newer devices, when it takes that long, it's usually surrounded around the home button, that Touch ID. Alright, device has just came back up. Let's check the touch functionality. Yep, it's requiring a passcode. I have to hide it for privacy reasons, of course. Alright, there we are. We are in the iPad. The touch is working, very responsive, very fluent. Doesn't seem to be much of a lag other than the delay in the operating system. It's very responsive. As soon as I flick it, it responds. So yeah, there you have it. iPad 3, new screen, new battery. Battery seems to be working. It's at about half life right here, 48%, and I have not charged this yet, so it's working. I'm excited. I'm happy. I hope the customer's happy. So until next time, guys, like and subscribe. I'm gonna keep bringing you guys valuable content, and stay tuned.